It's still morning here in Arizona. I want to welcome you to this week's Mimeograph Monday. And if you are new to my channel, welcome. And mimeograph basically means I'm going to case something out of a current catalog. But case doesn't start with the letter M. So I looked up another word for case or copy, and mimeograph showed up. And that also starts with M. So that's why I say Mimeograph Monday. So today's card is actually one of the requests, and I love it when people request a certain card from Mimeograph Monday because everybody's taste is different. And I love the one. And so Candy Heathman is the one that picked, I guess I shouldn't say last name, Candy, Candy. Candy is the one that requested this card. So just make sure you holler at me later, and usually like I'll email you. So if I don't, like I still am waiting to hear from Nancy. So that was a couple weeks ago. So if I don't hear from you within like a week of me doing your card, I'm just gonna assume that you don't want me to send it to you, and then I will just send it to somebody else. So anyway, but I don't want you posting it here, right? Your address. So just email me separately. All right. So Candy, hey Candy. So I picked your card, and it is super super cute. So it had me using something I hadn't used before. So hey, that's always good. Okay, so let me turn the phone and we will get started. All right, I'm just gonna make sure I can see myself. Yep, okay, very, very good. All right, so before we do the card, we are going to, hang on a minute, hold on a minute. My computer updated, and now this crazy, there it is, there, thing shows up in the bottom toolbar with the temperature and all sorts of stuff. I'm like, well, get rid of that. Okay, so before we get started with the cute card, I always have business stuff to talk about. Hey, Lily, Jan, Nancy, Stacy, Jeannie. Oh, my wonky fingers. I don't know if I've seen you on here before, so welcome. All right, so this is this month's host code. Unless you're in a stamp club, you have your own. So please use that one if you're placing an order that's under 150 before tax and shipping. Now, keep in mind, today is the last day that you are actually earning the $25. Extra $25. So if your workshop is $250 before tax and shipping, you get the 10%, but you today only, because it ends today, you get an extra $25. So it's like $50 and free. So if you have a big wish list, or if several of your friends and you want to get together, you decide who's going to be the hostess, you can group your orders together, but you need to get a host code from me. And so if you want to do that, you need to get with me very soon so I can make that host code for you, because the host code has to be made before you enter your orders in if you want to group them together. All right, I also talked about Candy requested today's card, and I have an email that you can use if you want to request a card or a project, usually a card for the Mimeograph Monday, and that is where you can send that. So Mimeograph Monday at stampingwithdye.com. And just always remember there's a G at the end of Stampin. So Stampin' Up is Stampin' Up without the G, but I am stamping with dye. All right. Well, I'm glad that you are here, wonky fingers, and saying hi. All right. So we have Over the Border with Dye and Marcy. So we have this coming up, and it's the virtual fall social. So you're going to want to make sure that you get on our list so that we know that you want to attend. Marcy Denning, she's in Canada. So if you are a Canadian stamper and you want to do the virtual fall social, which is through Zoom, streamed in a private Facebook group, you're going to want to holler at Marcy Denning. If you are in the States and you want to do that, then just let me know. And the holiday mini catalog is what the products that you'll be using for that. So it is super, super full of good stuff. All right. And I'm like looking for my catalog. Oh my gosh, what the heck? Where is the catalog? It's when I cleaned my desk. I cleaned off my desk. For the love of Pete. Oh, it's over here. Oh my gosh. Oh, all right. So here is what Candy wanted. And so I chose to do the more longer one or the harder one. It's not harder, but I chose to do this one because it has all the steps. These are pretty simple. And so if you are a quick stamper, you can totally learn from what I'm doing today and just kick it back, like take it back a little bit. So these are awesome where they have this Step It Up in the catalog. So this is the one that I chose. Now I can get my catalog out of the way. So I have my little list. So I knew what was used. Now, what I was saying was I did end up using something that wasn't listed just because it made it so much easier. Okay, so the stamp set is Forever Fern. And then it also has a matching die. And that is the Forever Flourishing. This die is amazing. It has so many cute pieces. And the stamp set is it's just beautiful whatever you do with it. And then I'm also using one of the new 3D embossing folders called Bark. So that's what I'm using. All right. The card is Sahara Sand. It's a card base. And then ahead of time, I ran another piece of Sahara Sand. Now this is 3.5 by 5. And so what I do is I just, look at the catalog and then I lay a piece of down and I realize if it's big or small. So this is cut a little smaller than the regular 4 by 5.25 that I usually do, but I could tell that this was smaller. So I went 3.5 by 5 and then I ran it through that bark. So can you see how really cool that is just the coolest die because it does. It just looks like tree bark. All right, so the one thing that I did do that wasn't listed was I used the adhesive sheets because what you're doing is you are going to die cut out some leaves. And when I die cut it out one, I thought, well, that's going to be a lot of gluing, right? To get that little leaf glued down. So I thought, I'm just going to try the adhesive sheets. I had never used them before, and they made it so much easier. All right, so let me show you what I did with the adhesive sheet. Now, what I did was I trimmed the sheet the same size as the cardstock. So let me get my piece of cardstock right here. So I just measured the die, so I knew what size the die was. And then I cut my cardstock just a little bit bigger than that. Hi, Eris. Oh, yes, the texture is amazing. Okay, so then you have your little adhesive sheet. So I cut that the same size. And then it has like, if you've ever used like a sticker, they have that, so you can start the peeling. So I peel that. And then I just laid it on my cardstock like this. And then I just flipped it back, peeled off the other side. And then you've got your adhesive on your cardstock all ready to go. Then you're just going to use your die, zip it, zip-de-dee-doo die through the die. And then you have this. So then you just peel it out. So I had to go through a couple times because the adhesive sheet is kind of plasticky. There's like a plastic to it. So it's a little thicker than the cardstock. So I did zip it through a couple times. Let me get my scissors. So sometimes it's easier to cut the die away from the actual image. you know, so you don't bend it. So see, I just kind of cut that away from my, my leaf. All right, then we're gonna bring this over and then we're simply gonna peel it. So we're gonna peel the adhesive sheet off the back, and now this leaf has adhesive all on it. So instead of me using like the green tip glue, you know, and putting it, you know, a dab here and a dab there, now my whole die, I want to get this little piece out of there. So there, and it's very sticky, hence the name adhesive. So, all right, so I'm just going to peel this off. So I didn't really waste any of my leaf, but you just want to be careful. But yeah, I can't believe I hadn't used these before. I have a whole stack. So I'm probably not the only person that orders things and then is like, why don't I ever use that? All right, so I should do the same thing with this. Cut this away, and then I'm not having to mess with that. So get off of there. Get off of there. All right. So I'm just flicking all these little pieces off of there. And it's just such a thin little die because it is the skinny little stalks. Okay, so then we're going to take and we're going to place this right on the card. So now it's like totally stuck on there. So just give it a good press. And then we're just going to trim the excess off. Oh yeah, I bet it would be perfect for the alphabets. So we're just going to cut this off. So I'm just using so I'm just sticking that extra piece over here on what I peeled off that sticker. So I put this on pretty much so I didn't have a lot of extra. Okay, so then we're going to do the same thing with this one. But I was just like, you could use these adhesive sheets for so many things. All right, so just peel it. And at first I was like trying to put the adhesive sheet on the opposite way, right? Where it had those lines, because that's usually the back of the sticker. I'm like, well, no, because this has to go onto the cardstock. So, but it truly is sticky. So we're just going to keep doing this. Peel it off, peel it off. And it loves fingernail polish, like all adhesive does. But it comes off there pretty good. And I think because also the leaves have a texture to them, it comes off even better. All right. So then I probably should have practiced with the adhesive sheets ahead of time with an image that wasn't as detailed, but I think they're made for ones that have a little more detail. All right, so I'm going to leave some of that on there so that I can just go like this just to get it on my card. And then it's not going to be all wonky on me while I'm working. All right, so we're just going to finish peeling. I'm going to get that out of there. That's just an extra little piece. All right, so now I'm going to cut this. Cut this away. And these pieces still have some of that adhesive protective sheet or whatever. All right, so then we have that one there. So this is what I mean by don't waste any of it. So now we want a little piece on the bottom on each side. So I cut a bunch of them. All right, So we're going to put, so this is the one where I cut. So I want to put it on that side. All right. So this piece is going to come here. Whoop, flip it over so I can see. The first time I did it, I like stuck it on the wrong side. Because I had turned it over to cut and I left it on that side. So I had one of my leaves on the wrong side. But it peeled off pretty quick. So this is where I cut. So then what I'm doing is I'm putting that along that edge. So I have a nice flat edge over there. And then we'll just finish trimming. So, all right. So there's that. Super easy. And it's always easier if you not have an audience. So if you're going, no way would I do that, you would, because it's not that hard. All right, so I just push those down, make sure they're good in place. And then I'm going to put this on the card. So since this has a lot of texture, I'm going to use the seal, and I'm going to do all the edges. Oop, hang on, let me get it started. I'm going to go all the way around my edges, only because there's quite a bunch of bumpiness going on. So if you don't want to use it all on your edges, then use the glue dots. But I'm just wanting to make it be flat all the way around, so I just use the seal. And then that's just going to go the center of my card, like that. So see how cute that is on there? It is so neat. I love how the light catches it and you can see the shadow. All right, so then we have, I need some scrap paper because now we want to do the flowers, or the leaves rather. All right. So we're using Bumblebee. So we're using Bumblebee for this one. And let me do my greeting. All right, so these I figured out were 1.5 inch squares. So that's what worked. And that's what it looked like they used. Because how I figured that out is I looked at this image because that is in full. The other images were partially on the card, so it was a little hard to tell what size they were. But when I stamped the To a Friend That Makes Me Smile, which is the cutest little saying, I could tell that they were about 1.5 inch squares. All right, so I'm going to stamp my little greeting. Now this is Pear Pizzazz, and I love having the recipe because then I just pull everything out I need. So there's my To a Friend That Makes Me Smile. So I'm just going to set that aside. All right, we're also using Just Jade. Just Jade is such a pretty, pretty green. So we have Just Jade. I'm just setting them off to the side, opened, so that's probably not a good thing to do, but all right. And then this is Calypso Coral. So then I have Calypso Coral. Now, those leaves are gorgeous. They are so pretty. And they're pretty just like that because the way they are made, they have like the shadows in there. It's called distinctive. And it's very, very cool. But this was the kicked up version of the card. So what you do is, so I ended up die cutting them out with the die. And then you're going to use the watercolor pencils. And I'm so bad. I hardly ever use these. So these are the watercolor pencils. And the colors are Garden Green, Cajun Craze, and Early Espresso. Now, would I have picked these? Maybe not necessarily, but that's what they said to do. So I chose the same ones because I might have picked, you know, a darker yellow. But what I'm doing is I'm just going and I'm adding a little bit more detail. So I'm going to scoot down a little bit so you can see better. So I'm just going in and I'm adding a little bit of the garden green, and it's just going to make the leaves pop all the more. And I would not have thought to do this. And it just really makes that leaf have even more color going on. So this is just a garden green right on there. And then I'm also going to take the early espresso and I'm going to go in there as well. Just a little bit. I don't want it to be too dark, but it adds just a little bit of darkness. And I'm not pushing super hard on the pencil. Okay, so there's that one. Then the Cajun Craze over here on the fun little berry kind of flower. And then I'm also going to use, so what did I say this was? Cajun Craze. I'm also going to use the Cajun Craze on the yellow. Let's see, I might as well do it up here because that's going to get cut off. All right, so this is Cajun Craze on the yellow as well. And that's just, again, just going to make that pop a little bit. Just changes it a little bit. But if you don't want to, you don't have the crayons, it looked beautiful even if you didn't. And then I'm just going to take a little bit of the early espresso right up through the center to make that vein stand out just a little bit. And it's just very subtle. All right. Then we're going to find our cute little squares. So I just cut a bunch of 1.5 inch little squares, and then we're just going to use dimensionals. So let me turn all my little flowers around, and I use the baby ones because these are kind of small. Oh, you just practice with the blends. Oh, because I almost did one. I thought, you know what, I'm gonna blends and the memento, and I thought, no, I'll keep it as is. But that doesn't mean I, and you know, just see the difference. Just putting dimensionals. All right, and then I'm just peeling these off. Hi Raquel, you made it. All right, so then this goes on here and it comes down a little bit. And I just looked at the catalog, how it was placed. And then you have this fun one. And this is actually about here. And then this one was funny because how I was going to angle it was totally wrong. I was going to angle it like this. But it's angled with the other side. So, you know, you could do however you want, but I was trying to be as close to the catalog as possible. Sometimes I do make changes like I did with did I do the snail card last week? I think I did do the snail card last week. I think this is the one I did last week. And then I had somebody ask me, B, I believe it was, because she was asking, well, how, in the catalog, there was a space around the snail's house thing, but I chose the present, so I didn't have that. But in the catalog, there was a white. And what Stampin' Up! Did was they actually masked the present off so that it didn't get inked. So then when they cut it out, then there was a white. So if you have the mini catalog, you'll have to look. So that's what I mean. Like, so sometimes I do change a little bit. And that was one that I did. All right, so this goes on here like that. Oops, and I've got my dimensional stuck to my table. All right. Okay, so then we're going to trim these off. So I used quite a few dimensionals in the wrong spot because I was gabbing. All right, but we're just going to roll them off. See how easy it is? Just give it a roll and they come off. All right. So it's better to roll them off than pull them off. If you roll them, then they just roll off the paper. If you pull them, you're more apt to tear your paper. So just, just use your finger and roll them off. All right, so then we're just going to cut off the excess by using the edge of the square. Easy, easy. I'm so glad, Candy, that you picked this one. Because I had never put, I would probably also never have thought to put the those leaves on top of that folder. And I'm totally going to do that again. Okay, so then we have all our leaves ready and our little greeting. So then we're going to put dimensionals on these as well, so they pop right off the card. So I want to find my big dimensionals this time. And I'm going to go 4 per square because who doesn't love dimensionals? All right. So yeah, so don't forget, if you are wanting that extra 25 and host is free, that ends today. So make sure that you don't forget that if you're wanting to group orders with your friends, I need to make the hostess code before you start placing your orders. Okay. So let me scoot up a little bit. So let's first, so the first one I put on was the greeting. And then it just kind of gives me my placement for the other ones. Oh, Nancy, yeah. So just roll, just roll them off. Okay. So then I'm going to place this. Now it goes off of it a little bit. So then I just kind of look that this is even along here. Because this could be a little... it's rough, right? It went through the embossing folder. So sometimes, I shouldn't say sometimes, so that always messes with the straightness of this piece because it's gone through the embossing folder. So that's why I paid attention to the edge of my card to keep this straight and not worrying about the edge of this piece. So that looks good and straight. And then I want my red one. So this is the Cajun one. So I did my 2 edge ones first. Then I just follow that one. And again, the edge of my card. And then our bumblebee one. Hey, Linda. Oh, it's so hot here, isn't it? I think 116. All right. And then our Just Jade. So let's spin that one. So that one goes on here. Ta-da! So isn't that cute? And I love how it has all these layers going on. It's just a fun card. Now you could, if you wanted to spice it up even more, you could add some bling to it even. All right, so let me bring, this is the one that I did earlier. So I always have that one that I'm looking at, right? So that I can see. So it's a little different. I have more leaves going here. There's a little more, so it's never going to be identical, but I do love how it turned out. Oh my gosh. So you definitely want to look at your catalog and figure out, like, well, how's something done? And you can always ask, you can always ask me. Let's see. I think I went over everything that I had to in regards to the business. And don't forget that I have a new incentive every month. And I don't know if I talked about that, but this is the incentive. So when you order $75 before tax and shipping, every month I have a new, and I just call it ink incentive. And then it's just, I'll send you a roll of, and this is the new Evergreen Chevron ribbon. It is amazing. It's so pretty. Ties so awesome. And then, so when I send you your June thank you card in July, you will get your spool of ribbon then. So when you order 75 before tax and shipping, that's how you earn those. And then remember that I'm also doing the customer selector. I talked about that last week, where I pay Stampin' Up to mail the mini catalogs. So if you've not placed an order with me in the last 6 months, you're going to want to do that, so that when I pull up my customer list, you show up in there. Otherwise, you know, you don't. So, because I figure if you have an order within 6 months, you aren't stamping, you know, you've got too much stuff, or you're ordering from somebody else, and then you'll get your catalog from that demonstrator. If you have any questions, if you want me to do, if you have a request for a Mimeograph Monday for next Monday, or if there's ever anything you want to show during the week, right? I don't have to just do suggestions for the Monday. You know, you can always say, because Raquel, I do want to do that card that you have. I just will have to use different DSP, because that DSP is retiring, and I think I just have a closed pack of it, so I don't want to open that pack up, but I could totally use a different DSP. So that might not be a Mimeograph Monday, right? Because I'm not doing it exactly. But anyways, it's always fun. I always love hearing from you. And I think that's all I have to blab about today. I will see you tomorrow for my Teach Me Tuesdays, and that's it. Oh, it might not be. It might be gone by now, right? So anyways, so Teach Me Tuesdays will be tomorrow at 3 o'clock Arizona time, and that's in our private Facebook group. So if you're not a member of the Stamping with Dye Facebook group, make sure you holler at me, so I can add you to that, so you can also do the lives over there. And I think that's all. The eyeglass doctor called while I was doing, so maybe my sunglasses are in, so I have to go pick them up. All right, so I will see you tomorrow. Have a great night, everyone. If you're in Arizona, stay inside. It's so hot. And if not, I will see you tomorrow anyways. All right, bye for now. Okay, I always like, oh, there it is. There's the X. Turn it off. Bye, everybody.